What I'm going to do tonight, so I'm Cliff Reese. I'm a retired state government attorney, spent 25 years as a state agency attorney here in Santa Fe. Most of that with the Department of Health. So I'm sorry we didn't hear about the Health Security Act yet, but I'm going to be listening because that's one of the bills that is important, one of the many. And I retired in the fall of 2005. So what does a retired attorney do that still wants to be involved? He gets hired to be a Senate staffer for a committee. And that is something that TRA retirees are allowed to do without having their pension suspended. Because the legislature needs staff, they need people who can take 30 and 60 days off, and who know the system, know government, and know how to work with the public. So I've done that for the last 13 years. 9 years as staffer for the Senate Public Affairs Committee, the last 4 years with the Senate leadership. Now, in January, I'm going to do something different. And I can't tell you what it is yet because it's not final. It's with the new administration. It'll start, I'll be in the Roundhouse. So if you see me, feel free to come up to me and say, I have a question. Like, why are the men's rooms and the ladies' rooms next to each other? My answer is, I don't know. Ask the army. Also, I wore this. This is expired. This is my 2017 ID. But if you have questions and you're really lost, look for people who are wearing this type of badge. Now, this is a Senate badge. You see it has a red border. And so it doesn't say what that means. What it means is I can go on the floor whenever I want to without having to go through some hoops. There's a different badge for the House. So if you see someone wearing a badge like this, either House or Senate, they're probably seasonal staff, people just working during the 30 to 60 days. There are year-round staff. And if we had more time, I have another lecture that I do on who the staff is and how they can help. And I'm going to leave it. Paul, if you can give me 10 minutes until the end so I can have questions. And you can ask me that question, and I'll answer it as fast as I can. But what we're going to do tonight, because Paul asked if I could do this, and it's a challenge for someone who likes to speak, is I'm going to call this the lightning round for legislative background. So Paul gave me a list of about 6 issues that he wanted me to address. So instead of giving an in-depth lecture on each topic, because I know you're all fascinated, and I am, sir, I'm going to give like 2 or 3 bullets on each of these topics. And then I added one that I felt was important. Paul's issues were great, but I added one, and it's going to be the last one. So I'll take full responsibility for that. So for my first 20 minutes, that went left, I'm going to hit these issues, give you 2 or 3 bullet points, take notes, and at the end, we'll take questions. I will be here for the rest of the evening. I'll stay at 8 o'clock as long as you want to have questions. Come up to my table here, and I have some of the resources that I've collected over the years that I use, and I can explain that to you also. That as someone who, if you really want to get into the weeds, needs to be familiar with some of these resources because they'll make your life a lot easier. Especially if you're doing what I call bill analysis, and Paul's calling them bill summaries, but they're pretty much the same thing. Okay, you ready? Number 1, question 1. How is a bill drafted, and how is it introduced? So the bills can only be drafted by the staff of the Legislative Council Service. They're located on the 4th floor of the Roundhouse, between the governor's office and the lieutenant governor's office, on the southeastern side of the 4th floor. So what happens is that only a legislator and statewide officials can request that a bill be drafted. You cannot call the council service as Cliff Reese, private citizen, and ask for a bill to be drafted, no matter how great the bill is. Okay? You got to work through one of those people authorized to get the bill drafted. So you call Senator Worth, as I have in the past, and say, gee, I have a great idea for a bill. Would you be willing to do what's called open a file, which is have it assigned to a drafter, and there is a deputy director in the council service who is in charge of it. Direct it to her, and she assigns it to one of her 15 or 20 drafters. Most of them are attorneys, not all. Don't need to be an attorney to draft a bill. It helps. Because there are a lot of legal requirements that go into a bill in the Constitution. So the bill's drafted. The legislator or the requester can go meet with the drafter and say, this is what I want, verbally or in writing, talking points. Or you can have someone do a discussion draft, a rough draft, and give it to the drafter and say, put this into discussion draft form. Now, here's the thing. Statutorily, I won't cite statutes or constitutional provisions, but if you're interested, you can ask me. There is a statute that says this is a confidential request. So I walk into Senator Cliff Reeves, into the bill drafter's office and say, please draft the Health Security Act for me the way it was introduced last year. 5 minutes later, Senator Paul Gibson walks into the same office, says, would you draft the Health Security Act the way it was last year? The drafter cannot say, oh, Senator Reese was just here. He just asked for the same thing. So I'll do one for both of you. That drafter by law cannot disclose the origin of the request unless the requester goes in and says, I want you to draft a bill like this, and I want you to work with Cliff Reese or Paul Gibson. So give him a copy, and then let him take a look at it and make comments and get back to me. That's authorization, and that is permissible. Okay, that's how it's drafted. Only a bill drafted by the council service can be introduced. And how many of you have seen a bill? Actually seen a bill? Most of you. You can go online and see this. And where I put it down, okay. So in the lower left-hand corner of the bill, there's a 6-digit number with a decimal point and another number. That 6-digit number is called, I don't know why, the 202 number. And that is the unique number that identifies that bill. After the decimal point, after the 6 digits and the decimal point, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the version of the bill, the latest version of the bill. You always want to be on the same page, on the same version of the bill as the committee that you're listening to. Because if you're looking at version 1, and the committee is considering point 6, they'll say that, are you on point 6? It's a different, there's a difference. It's been changed, and that's fine. All bills are subject to amendment, substitution, and debate. Okay, so that's how a bill gets drafted. The sponsor then gets the final version back after the discussion draft is approved. It's put into a jacket. It's called a jacket, which is actually just a folder. It's either blue for the Senate, a Senate bill, yellow for a House bill. And then it gets introduced. How does it get introduced? Well, you know it gets introduced on the floor. There's a part of the floor proceeding in both houses. It's called bill introduction. But first, there's a process that you don't see. And that is the sponsor gets to put a Post-it note on the bill and say, this is where I'd like the bills to be referred to, my bill to be referred to. It's usually 2 referrals, committee referrals. And that is reviewed by a staff member for Senator Worth in the Senate, and Representative Egoff in the House. And that person reviews it and then discusses it with the Speaker or the House floor leader in the Senate. And then they decide, Peter Worth, Brian Egoff decide where the bills are going to be referred to. So when the bills are actually then introduced on the floor in open session, and you hear the Speaker or the President of the Senate say, Senate Bill 21, having been read twice by title, has been referred to the Senate Public Affairs Committee and the Senate Judiciary, Senate Bill 21. Then everybody knows officially where it's been referred to, and that can change. Okay, so that actually led into the next point, which Paul wanted to address, was how many referrals does it typically get? A bill typically get. Typically it's 2 in both houses. If it gets 1, you're really lucky. You are somehow blessed. If it gets 3 or 4, you're in trouble because the leadership doesn't like it and they want the process to be dragged out. Remember, if your bill doesn't get through both houses, it dies. You can start again next year if it's germane, but it dies. So you got to start all over again. So look at the number of referrals. It'll give you a clue, as Paul mentioned, in the written piece you'll get about whether it's favored, disfavored, or just neutral. Just a regular bill, it's going to get treated regularly. Okay? How is a bill scheduled for hearing once it's been introduced and referred? Let's take your questions. Let me roll. So that is up to the committee chair. And the committee chairs have staff. Usually 1, 2, or 3 analysts. And that's what I did for 9 years for Senator Feldman, for 7 years, and Senator Ortiz-Pino, for 2 years in the Public Affairs Committee. So you can also see on the web, and you need to learn about the website. There's a lot of information there. Most of it is accurate, but it's not complete, and I'll tell you what's missing. Paul already alluded to it. The motions table are not on the website. Don't ask me why, they're not. And you can go to legislation, and then there are various reports. And one of the reports is legislation by committee. And you can see which bills are pending in that particular committee. And we analysts use that list. So we see which bills have been referred the day before. And this is all done overnight by IT staff for the council service. And so we see, oh, here are the 10 bills that have been introduced on the first day of the session that have been referred to the Senate Public Affairs Committee. And we start making a list of those bills. And that draft list goes to the sponsor, goes to the committee chair that we work for. And we say, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair, here are the 10 bills that are pending in the committee. When do you want to start hearing bills and which bills do you want to hear? Typically, it's done in the order that they come into the committee. If your bill's being passed over, as Paul said, there may be a reason why. And it's worth asking, starting with the committee analysts, whose workstations are usually, not always, but usually near where the committee chair's office is. A little hint. I'm talking Senate now. It's a bit different for the House. Okay, so that's how the bill is scheduled. The committee staff, analysts, make a recommendation to the chair. The chair blesses it, and then they give it to the committee secretary, who is the person who has to give 24 hours notice before the hearing date to the Legislative Council Service IT to publish what you see on the web. So here's an important takeaway. What you see on the web in terms of committee agendas, it's 24 hours old. And in the legislature, 24 hours is a long time, and a lot changes. So you want to develop a personal relationship with the committee secretary. They often will keep a copy of the latest agenda on their desks in the Roundhouse, typically on the 3rd floor. So before you go to a hearing, go visit with the committee secretary and see if there's a stack of these agendas. Ask for the most current agenda. They say version 2, version 3. They say revised. You want the most recent agenda, not the one necessarily that's on the web. Little tip. Learn the hard way. Okay? Moving on. How am I doing on time?
How many committees are there?
So it varies.
15.
It varies. There's more House committees than Senate committees. We're talking about permanent committees that only meet during the session and only have members of that House on that committee. They're the ones that actually vote. In the interim, they're House and Senate interim committees. They're joint committees. They don't vote except to endorse. And I forgot the exact number. The House is expanded under the Republicans, and Brian kept some of those. It's about 10 to 15. It's about 10 in the Senate, and maybe up to 17 or 18 now in the House. There's a lot. There's more representatives, so there's more committees that they can staff. They can be assigned to. Most legislators are assigned to at least 2 committees, and they try to work it out so that the committees do not conflict, their schedules do not conflict, so that one of your committees will meet in the morning before the 4 sessions, and your other committee will meet in the afternoon after the 4 session. It could be Wednesday, Wednesday, Friday, it could be Tuesday, Thursday. But the committees have varying schedules. There are enough committee rooms for everyone to meet at the same time. There are enough legislators to go around, so they share in the House and Senate. The committee rooms are shared. Okay. What kinds of printed materials should be developed in support of the bill? And to whom should it be given? Short is good, shorter is better. That's Paul's take, and I totally agree. So, we call these one-pagers. Paul has called them flyers, and you can call it what you want. But in the Roundhouse, there's a jargon, and I know Paul and I have been talking about the precision of language, and it's not just lawyers who do this. It's also, because if you talk about a committee report, that's a term of art. And it means it's a very specific document. I'll get to that in a second. But one-pagers, and I gave Paul some examples. I didn't bring them. These can help you, and they can hurt you. How can they help you? So, remember we started talking about thousands of bills. So, all of your one-pagers at the top are going to say, Senate Bill 25, Health Security Act, paren, 2019 regular session. Everything needs to be identified, not just by bill number, but by the year. Why is that? Because every year there's a Senate Bill 19. And it drives me nuts when people say, Cliff, you remember Senate Bill 25? My next question is, what year are you talking about? Because there are hundreds of Senate Bill 25s and House Bill 25s, especially if you have 2,000 bills in each house. So when you do a one-pager, you're going to identify it so that people know exactly what bill you're talking about, what year, should be 2019, and then you want 3 or 4 bullet points that support your bill. You do not want tones. You do not want, it's okay, I feel the same. You don't want tones. You don't want, the latest American Journal of Medicine, 5 pages. I've seen stacks, things that long. These people have thousands of bills. They have committees, they have floors, they have coffee meetings, they have dinners afterwards, they meet with constituents. Doors are usually open for constituents. They don't have time to read hundreds of pages of backup material. If you waited until the session to educate the legislator, you've waited too long. Okay? People ask me, when do I start lobbying for a bill? The day after adjournment would be ideal if you could find it. But you definitely would work in the interim to set yourself up for the session, because during the session, it's crazy. It's nuts. And the staffers also work long hours and are exhausted as well. So,
last year everybody was sick.
and people get sick at the end. So you see people like Dale Chasey, who's very health conscious and wears a mask. They're taking probiotics, antibiotics, and vitamins, and some people eat very unhealthy, some people eat healthy. I call it, by the way, because I'm a public health guy, I call the Roundhouse the human petri dish. Because not just the lobbyists and the legislators and the staff, but hundreds of school children from all over the state. It's an incredible vector for spread of viral and other diseases. So there are some people, by the way, I'm sorry, Paul, in the weeds, who don't touch the door on knobs, and they don't touch the railings, and you have to be a germaphobe. I don't do it. I'm not a germaphobe. So don't shake hands. You do the Ebola handshake. You know what the Ebola handshake is? Give me your elbow. Hi, how are you? Okay. So, anyway, it is not a healthy place for a lot of reasons. And so take care of yourself. Okay. Printed materials, you do not walk up to the legislators during the committee hearing and hand them. You do not do that. Okay? It's like if you've ever been in court, you see the attorneys walking up to the jury box and handing stuff to the jurors. No. So there are people in the room called sergeant at arms, attendants, who are responsible for keeping order, for bringing coffee to the legislators, and keeping the briefing books up to date that are on the desk where the legislators sit. So if you have a handout, number one, this is the most important rule that people don't know, do not distribute anything unless your sponsor has approved it. Why? You may think this innocuous statistic that I'm going to cite here in this one-pager, nobody would ever be offended by it. But you don't know that Senator so-and-so from Hobbs is going to be thoroughly offended by whatever it is you have there, and because they feel like they're being personally insulted or their constituents are being targeted, and they will vote against your bill just because you gave them an innocent piece of paper. So your sponsor knows the inside stuff. If your sponsor doesn't know, you're off the hook. Then nobody knows that secretly Senator so-and-so had this experience 20 years ago. So always have your sponsor approve it, and then give it to the sergeant at arms in the room when your sponsor approves it. And he or she, the sergeant at arms, will usually get the permission of the chair, because the chair wants to see it first. I've seen stuff not distributed because it was like inflammatory anti-abortion pictures, things like that. And the sponsor will, the committee chair will say, we're not doing that here. But if it's pretty innocuous stuff, if it's statistics, then it'll probably get distributed. Okay? That's an inside scoop on one-pagers. So, how do you provide public comment? And Paul was absolutely right when he said, let's not call it testimony. That implies you're under oath. You are not under oath at the Roundhouse, but your credibility is everything. So if you make a misstatement and word gets around that Cliff Reese just made up some BS because he didn't want to look stupid, he wanted to look like the smartest guy in the room, never happened. You were in trouble because people will chew you out. So it is okay, sometimes it's hard for people like lawyers, to say, Mr. Chairman, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd like to look that up for you. And I'll get back to you tomorrow, and I'll write it down, and I'll give it to your staff. And because you're busy, and don't say that. They are, and they'll get it to you. It's perfectly fine to say, I don't have that information, I'll get it for you. Because you are the staff, by extension, for these legislators who don't have staff. Okay? Be accurate, brief, and courteous when it comes to your time to do public comment. And Paul, in the written materials that I provided him, there is the order of proceedings for a committee hearing, which I've never seen in writing anywhere else, except what I did because I teach this at UNM, and I do mock hearings where I get to be the chair of the Senate Public Affairs Committee in the mock hearing, and the students are the senators and the witnesses. And that's my final exam. So you're reading a class with me if you want to tell me what the final exam is. 5, how much? 10. Okay, good. Once the bill is heard, and if it gets a positive vote for a DO, do pass, not DUE, but due process, DO, do pass, or it gets a no recommendation, which is a neutral, then the committee secretary will record the vote once it's taken, will write a committee report that says Senate Bill 25 received a due pass in Senate Public Affairs Committee, and it's signed by the chair. It goes to the floor the next day, and part of the proceedings on the floor is adoption of committee reports. When that committee report is adopted, and typically they are, although sometimes they're not, then the bill can move forward to the next referral. It will not leave that committee until a positive committee report is adopted on the floor. So this helps you plan. How many days is it going to take? If my bill keeps moving, and there's always a built-in day where it has to go to the floor to get the committee report adopted, then it moves to the next committee if it's a 2-referral bill, and this is the first referral, and then that chair decides when that bill is going to be heard. And if it's gone through all the committees that it was referred to in that House, then it goes to the floor for what's called third reading. Why is it called third reading? So here's a 30-second story. In 1912, which is what our Constitution, when our Constitution was adopted, and it's still in place, but it's been piecemeal amended, and this is the document that talks about it, piecemeal amendment of the Constitution. There were no copy machines, there were no computers, there was no nothing. There was one original copy of the bill, and so for the body to know what the bill is about, they were literally read, word for word. But now we engage in a fiction, because we know what the bill says. We have ways to get copies. And in the middle of the bills, in capital letters, there is what's called the bill caption. It's really the summary. It's a table of contents. So they say, they call it the title. They say, Senate Bill 21, having been read twice by title, is now ready to be heard on third reading of the Congress. Okay, that's what third reading is. So, how a bill gets to the floor for a vote, it has to get through the houses of the committees that we refer to. I'll explain why. I got two more questions. How bills get reconciled when different versions pass the House and Senate? So one really smart person in the health department asked me, Cliff, if I introduce a Senate bill and it gets through the 2 Senate committees and the Senate floor, and I also introduce a House bill, identical bill, gets through the 2 House committees and the House floor, am I done? Has my bill passed? It passed the House, passed the Senate? The answer is a big, emphatic no. Even if it's identical bills, they've got to go through both houses. Okay? Here's a bill. So there are some strategies are to have duplicate bills, but that's a lot of work, and it may or may not be successful. If the bill changes in one house, it goes to the other house. There's a process called concurrence, where each, on the floor, one house has a chance to either concur, agree, or recede, disagree with the other house. And if both of them agree to what the other house has done, the bills are sort of merged. But if there is no agreement, then it goes to the conference committee. As of 2009, they are now open to the public thanks to an amendment to the Open Meetings Act, which says that open meetings are now required for conference committees, but the public does not have a right to speak. You just have a right to observe. Okay? And if there can be agreement in the conference committee between the 3 House members and the 3 Senate members appointed by the head of that House, then the bill comes back to each House to adopt the conference committee report. If each House agrees to what the conference committee agreed to, then you're done. Then the bill can go to the 4th floor. Okay. What are the governor's options? The bill comes to the 4th floor. So there's 4 options. There's a pocket, veto, and veto. You know about those. There's, of course, a sign, signing the bill, signing into law. There's a 4th option that is very rarely used, people don't know about. It's called a pocket sign. And it's used to, when the governor doesn't want to bless something, doesn't want to oppose it. Example, increasing the legislative pensions. The governor doesn't want to say, oh, I gave more money to those unworthy legislators. The governor doesn't want to oppose it because the governor wants his or her bills We've reached the fourth floor. So homicide only happens before the last 3 days of the session. Any bill that passes during the last 3 days, which is most of them, under the Constitution of New Mexico, the governor has 20 days after adjournment to act on those bills. And so one of the questions that I think we're going to address at some point is, what can you do in this third act? I call it the third act. There's the House, or the Senate and the House, and then the governor. People often think, I got my bill through both houses, I'm done. No, your bill may be done because it may get vetoed because the governor doesn't know there's a lot of support for it. So there are ways to communicate with the governor. When does the bill become effective? Last question. So there's three options for this. The bill either specifies an effective date, which is sometime in the future, no retroactive effectiveness. The bill does not specify an effective date. In the New Mexico Constitution, it says that the bill, if it's signed by the governor without a specific effective date, becomes law 90 days after adjournment, not 90 days after signing, 90 days after adjournment. So for a 60-day session, it's typically mid-June. 3-day session is typically mid-March. Okay? The third one is the emergency clause. So the emergency clause is put on the bill at the beginning. It says that this bill is necessary for public peace, health, and safety. That it become law immediately upon signature by the governor. But the catch is that to keep an emergency clause on the bill to the end, the bill has to pass by 2/3 vote in both houses instead of a simple majority. Okay? So that's sort of a lightning round. Let me take questions, then Paul, I'll call time when my time is done.
And just so that people know, if we can't answer all your questions today, a lot of them, I'm guessing, are in the written document we've done. And when we publish it, we will ask people to give us questions, and we'll get the answers. So if you don't get your question answered today, don't be too sad.
Yeah, I saw your hand.
Hi, yes, Joyce.
Yes.
At what point in this process can a bill be referred over to, say, Human Services Division, which is where I worked and used to analyze bill? So where in the process can it be sent over? And then who is responsible for sending it over to, say, Medical Assistance Division?
Are you talking about during the legislative session?
Yes, yes.
So that never happens. This is the legislative branch. The
Okay.
bill always stays in either the House, the Senate. It gets through both houses, goes to the governor. What you may be thinking of is when a bill is introduced, there is a special form of bill analysis where agencies are asked to do an analysis of the bill. This is before you gets heard in committee. And that analysis is sent back to the legislature. But here's the catch for this. It's posted on the legislative intranet that only legislative staff can access. It is not publicly posted like the fiscal impact reports for each bill, just done by the legislative finance committee staff, and it is posted publicly. Great.
Yes. I don't know if this is just a rumor or if it's true.
Probably both.
Now then, I think everybody better listen. Is it true that Peyton goes up every day and speaks with the governor about what's going on and kind of tries to persuade her? She's very conservative. They have a lot in common.
Is that true?
Yes.
I have no idea.
I think it is.
But I would seriously doubt it.
Oh, okay.
I would seriously doubt it because I have heard Senator Payton make statements about the governor that I can't repeat.
Good.
Okay? But that doesn't mean everything. But I want to make a comment, because Paul touched on this, and I think it's really important. Having worked at the legislature for many years now, I have a slightly different take on the so-called conservatives of either party. And Senator Payton is an example of this. Senator Munoz in Gallup, Senator John Hunter Smith in Denning. We often make them, I assume that most of not everybody here is a progressive of some sort, or a Democrat or whatever, that we make them kind of bad people. And I know them personally, and they're good people. But remember how they got there. They got there because they got a majority of one vote in the last election. Who are their constituents? Who do you think John Arthur Smith represents? Do you think he represents the same people that Peter Worth represents, or Ryan Eagle? So I see them as reflective of their constituency. When they are fiscally conservative, Paul, you touched on it, and I think you're absolutely right. They're not just there because they want anger Santa Fe progressives. They're there representing their constituents. And I know I can't speak for the House, but I know in the Senate, I've heard the leaders say publicly, this is not inside information, that there's no arm twisting around votes. They're asked to vote with the caucus, but the leaders, and I know Peter understands this, Peter understands that some votes are taken by so-called conservatives because that is a requirement for them to represent the will of their district. Okay? It's not meant to jab it to us Santa Fe voters. It's great.
So how does ALEC get bills into our legislature?
They find willing sponsors. And the way they find willing sponsors, everybody know what ALEC is, ALEC. Okay, because this is an acronym-rich environment. So ALEC is the American Legislative Exchange Council. It is a Koch brother funded organization, one of many, that drafts what are called model bills. And they invite legislators from all around the country, and they pay for them to come to their meetings and encourage, and they have different areas for these bills, environment, business, health, and they have draft bills, and they encourage people that they wine and dine, legislators to go back to Santa Fe or Denver or wherever, and have those bills go into the council service, put into New Mexico bill form, and get introduced. It doesn't say, this bill came from ALEC. But the smart people, like the people in this room, and hopefully the staff, if they have enough time, go, you know, this looks like something that I read Florida just passed. We know the red states. I wonder if this came from ALEC. And then you can go to the website and find the model bill and see how it tracks the language. The model bill that ALEC has on its website with the New Mexico bill as it's introduced. ALEC is catching up to this stuff. And so they're putting less and less stuff on their website. But if you're a conservative senator or representative, you can get assistance, and it won't be on the website. So, because one of the things that I did was I would try to track the ALEC bills, just because something rang a bell, and I would let my senator know. You know, by the way, when the bill is introduced by the sponsor in the committee, and not introduced, it's heard by the sponsor in the committee. Ask the sponsor if they've ever been to an ALEC conference, and where did they get this bill? It's okay to ask that.
One more question.
We're out of time?
Yeah, one more question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, it doesn't seem like you guys focus on resolutions, you're mainly talking about bills. Is the process for resolutions similar?
Mostly.
And what do we do in a situation where, like, you know, Common Cause may have some good bills that whatever we like, but then there's a resolution maybe we like, and they're against it?
So, that question is for Paul and the group. But what you're referring to is called a joint resolution, either a House joint resolution or a Senate joint resolution. And the joint resolutions and memorials and the bills are all different types of bills. So we all know that the bills, both houses, governor signs, becomes law. Memorials do not have the force of law. They can just be a House memorial or a Senate memorial or a joint memorial. One or both houses. They don't have the force of law. It's more a sense of the legislature. We're talking about, and so I would encourage you, because you're obviously in the know, you need to call it a joint resolution. Either a House joint resolution or a Senate joint resolution. That's where it starts. And what those do is they amend the Constitution. They propose amendments to the Constitution. And this has been a workaround around Susana Martinez, frankly, because she won't sign the bill to legalize recreational marijuana. If it can pass in a joint resolution, both houses, it could then go on to the next general election ballot for us, the voters. Because we became a state in 1912, there was the progressive movement, if those of you like me study American history, and so there are many progressive things in our 1912 Constitution, but we do not have popular referendum. This is the closest we have to a popular referendum, as California has and other states have. So the difference is that it does not have to be signed by the governor, and it has to be approved by the voters for the next general election. But otherwise, it's the same process. How it gets prepared, how it gets introduced, it goes to committees, it goes to the floor. That's the difference. Okay, so Paul says I'm out of time. He's the timekeeper. As I said, I will be around. So jot down your questions, and I'll stay as long as you want. And thank you very much. Great questions.